Transform into the authentic version of yourself. Our meeting will take place in the next video. And may you never lose the awareness that the world desperately needs those who have the courage to be sincere and genuine. Do you have enough determination to take this responsible step? I look forward to your thoughts and feedback in the comments section. In a world where everyone strives to find their place, the question often arises, what needs to be done to become more desirable and indispensable in the eyes of others? But the true path to transformation begins not with external changes, but with deep self-knowledge. It's not about conforming to other people's expectations, but about revealing your true essence and becoming the person that no one will want to lose, not because of conformity to imposed ideals, but because of uniqueness, sincerity, and strength of character. Psychologists claim that everything that happens in the external world is a reflection of the internal state. Relationships, meetings, opportunities, and even losses are not just coincidences, but manifestations of the psyche. If you are constantly attracting people who only bring exhaustion, if relationships do not bring satisfaction, or if scenarios that lead to disappointment are repeated, this is not accidental. It is a signal that something is hidden in the subconscious that needs to be recognized. People who others are afraid to lose do not waste time searching for love or external validation. They boldly face their fears, accept their flaws, and find within themselves what they once sought in the outside world. How to achieve this state of inner harmony and self-confidence? The answer to this question will be revealed in the next video. Don't miss the opportunity to transform into the authentic version of yourself. But how to achieve this cherished state? The first step towards it is deep self-knowledge. As Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist and philosopher, wisely noted, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." In today's world, where we are constantly urged to seek answers to questions in the vast expanses of social media, in the advice of others, or in generally accepted norms, only a few find the courage to honestly look in the mirror of their soul. However, without this deep introspection, it is impossible to build genuine and lasting connections with other people. Ask yourself, what wounds in your heart are still bleeding? What fears bind you and prevent you from truly connecting with others? A woman who others are afraid to lose does not try to please everyone. She heals the emotional wounds that have distanced her from her true self. The subconscious is like a mirror, reflecting everything that we stubbornly refuse to see in ourselves. If you try too hard in relationships, you may only be projecting your unresolved need for recognition and approval. If you are constantly surrounded by people who do not appreciate you, perhaps deep down you do not believe that you deserve better. Jung taught us that only by recognizing these projections can we change our lives for the better. The second important key to finding harmony is the integration of the shadow. Jung discovered that each of us carries a hidden, dark side, feelings, thoughts and desires that we have learned to suppress and hide from others. The shadow holds our deepest fears and insecurities, but at the same time, it is the source of our greatest strength. If you experience anger, envy, or sadness, this is not a sign of weakness. Each emotion carries an important message that needs to be understood and accepted. For example, jealousy does not make you a bad person. It only indicates an unmet need for love and attention. Frustration caused by the behavior of other people may indicate the part of you that you have not yet accepted and loved. A woman who others are afraid to lose does not pretend to be perfect. She accepts her shadow, recognizes her feelings without judging herself for them, and understands that every emotion is an integral part of her human nature. Thanks to this, she no longer acts out of insecurity and fear, but out of awareness and inner strength. She no longer needs to beg for love and attention, because her inner radiance becomes magnetic and attracts people naturally. She is not afraid to express her opinion and set clear boundaries, because she knows that her value does not depend on external approval. However, shadow integration is not an easy path, requiring courage and dedication. It means facing what causes us the most pain and turning that fear into awareness and understanding. Without this integration, we are doomed to remain in a closed circle, repeating the same mistakes and feeling empty without understanding the true reason for our condition. The third cornerstone of attractiveness is authenticity. In a world where we are constantly urged to adapt and conform, the courage to be yourself becomes a real feat. The great psychologist Carl Jung subtly noted that many of us hide behind a mask, behind a carefully constructed external facade, which he called the persona. This mask is nothing more than an image that we show to others, while our true self timidly lurks in the shadows, constrained by the fear of being rejected. Remember how often you had to act against your beliefs, hide your true feelings and thoughts, just to earn approval and acceptance. Jung tirelessly repeated that every step that takes us away from our true essence simultaneously deprives us of a part of our inner strength. Women who others fear losing have found their freedom in being true to themselves. They do not waste their time trying to please everyone, but firmly believe that their true essence attracts exactly the people they really need. They are not afraid to show their vulnerability because they have grasped a simple truth. Real intimacy and deep connection are born only where we allow ourselves to be real. The very moment you stop playing a role to please others and start living in harmony with your truth, the world around you is transformed. Your energy becomes cleaner and more powerful. People who resonate with you on a deep level are drawn into your life as if by a magnet, not because you are desperately trying to keep them, but because they stay by their own free will. And in this lies true strength, not in manipulation and control, but in the freedom to be yourself. The fourth important element is emotional self-sufficiency. Carl Jung pointed out that emotional dependence arises when we convince ourselves that we need someone to feel complete in life. But no one but ourselves can fill the voids that need healing. When we seek love, security, and happiness in the external world, we involuntarily give away part of our strength. A woman who others fear losing has learned to find within herself everything she once naively sought outside. This does not mean that she rejects intimacy and love, but only that her inner balance and harmony do not depend on external circumstances. She enjoys her own company, creates a life that inspires and fulfills her, and it is this inner independence that makes her so irresistible. The most durable and deep relationships are built not on acute need, but on conscious choice. When a person feels that you are with them not because they desperately need you, but because you consciously chose them, a connection arises that is much stronger and more honest. Two people, self-sufficient and complete in themselves, are able to create a union based on mutual respect and sincere intimacy, free from obsessive expectations, filled with respect and depth. The fifth key to self-knowledge is understanding the phenomenon of projection. As Carl Jung insightfully noted, our sympathies and antipathies towards others often serve as a mirror reflecting our own inner world. The qualities we admire in others are often dormant aspects of our personality, waiting for their time to unfold in full force. Conversely, what irritates and repels us may indicate those sides of ourselves that we are diligently suppressing or refusing to accept. When we are irresistibly drawn to a certain person, the reason lies not so much in their external data or manner of behavior, but in the fact that this person touches a string in our soul, awakens a part of us hidden in the depths of the subconscious, but striving for development. Similarly, antipathy towards someone can serve as a signal prompting us to self-analysis. What exactly causes this feeling in me, and why? Imagine a situation. You are in a relationship where you constantly feel ignored and undervalued. A natural desire arises to blame the partner for this, but from the point of view of Jungian psychology, this is only a reflection of your own deep-seated belief. If you subconsciously believe in your own inferiority, you will involuntarily attract people into your life who confirm this belief. And the point here is not in evil fate, but in the fact that your subconscious mind points to a painful point that requires attention and healing. That is why women who have gone through the thorny path of self-knowledge, integrated their shadow sides, and gained a true understanding of themselves rarely find themselves in relationships where they are ignored or belittled. They have learned to value themselves, and this self-perception is reflected in the attitude towards them from others. The power of projection points us to areas of immediate personal growth. If someone in your life causes you a feeling of discomfort, insecurity, or disappointment, do not rush to give in to emotions. Stop for a moment and ask yourself, what facet of myself do I recognize in this situation? What is my subconscious trying to convey to me? If you honestly embark on this journey of self-analysis, you will discover that every encounter and experience carries a much deeper meaning than it initially appears. The sixth key to awakening true femininity lies in an unwavering belief in synchronicity. Carl Jung, an insightful explorer of the human soul, defined synchronicity as those fateful coincidences where life circumstances miraculously align, as if by magic. In such moments, the right people appear on the horizon at the most opportune time. Doors open without the slightest effort, and long-awaited answers to tormenting questions suddenly emerge, seemingly out of nowhere. However, synchronicity is not blind chance, but a natural result of living in harmony with one's deepest, most cherished truth. When a woman knows herself, accepts her shadow sides, acknowledges her weaknesses and shortcomings, and learns to trust her inner voice, her intuition, the world around her begins to react sensitively and adapt to her inner transformations. Conversely, if a woman constantly finds herself in situations that cause stress, doubt, and fear, this is by no means a manifestation of evil fate or bad luck. Jung would say that this is merely a mirror reflection of her internal state, her unresolved conflicts and contradictions. Life is not a chaotic game of chance, but an accurate and truthful expression of each woman's inner world. A woman who has cultivated a belief in synchronicity ceases to desperately cling to relationships that do not bring her joy and satisfaction. She no longer wastes her energy on retaining people who do not share her life path. She knows with deep certainty that life always leads her exactly where she needs to be, provided she has the courage to let go of everything that no longer serves or benefits her. This does not mean that her life will be cloudless and without difficulties, but a woman living in harmony with her inner self sees in every obstacle a valuable opportunity for personal growth and spiritual development. Women who have grasped this wisdom do not waste their energy on fruitless reflections on the past or vain fears of the future. They realize that every experience, even the most painful and traumatic, is a necessary step on the path to their self-improvement and the realization of their true potential. The seventh cornerstone of feminine power is the art of letting go of the past. The great psychologist Jung once remarked that our suffering often stems from an inability to part with what has already played its role in our lives. We cling to relationships that have outlived their usefulness, to beliefs that stifle our potential, to old selves that no longer reflect our essence. But true growth begins where there is enough courage to say goodbye. Letting go is not a sign of weakness, but a wise recognition that certain things no longer align with our life path. It's realizing that a relationship, instead of providing support, drains energy, that a situation does not move us forward, but pulls us back. Women who have grasped this truth do not hold on to connections devoid of joy and satisfaction. They do not waste energy fighting for love, attention, or approval, for they deeply understand that what is destined for them does not require forcing. They believe that by freeing themselves from a burdensome load, they open the doors to something greater, brighter, and more inspiring. This step is one of the most difficult, but also the most liberating. By letting go of what pulls us down, we regain energy, emotional balance, and inner strength. We begin to move through life easily and confidently, without unnecessary baggage, without old grievances and disappointments. In this state is born a woman whom one would not want to lose, not because of artificial efforts, but because of the radiance of her pure, genuine essence. Accepting these principles is not an instantaneous transformation, but a continuous process of self-discovery, integration, and inner growth. But with each step forward, with each discarded layer of old beliefs, you get closer to your strongest and truest version. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the freedom to be yourself. There is nothing more attractive than a woman who feels confident in her own skin, who is not afraid to express her truth, and who lives in harmony with herself. When you achieve this harmony, you will no longer depend on the choices of others, because you will learn to put yourself first. A woman who chooses herself ceases to look for in the external world what has long existed within her. Jung rightly noted that many of our relationships are a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. Whoever constantly craves external validation will repeatedly encounter situations and people that only confirm their inner sense of inadequacy. But when a woman knows herself and accepts her shadow, her energy is transformed. She no longer enters relationships out of need, but from a state of inner fulfillment and abundance. This has a quiet, yet powerful impact on those around her. Her presence becomes something no one wants to lose, not because of manipulation or a desire to please, but because her authenticity has a natural attractive force. Deep down, people, consciously or unconsciously, strive for what is real, for what radiates peace, clarity, and inner strength. Someone who has done the work on themselves is easy to recognize. It is felt in their posture, in the composure of their decisions, in how they set boundaries, calmly, clearly, without fear or guilt. Such a presence needs no explanation. It speaks for itself. A woman who has learned this truth is no longer afraid of loneliness. She knows that her value does not depend on her relationship status or even the number of people around her. She carefully chooses who to give her energy to. Not everyone gets access to her inner world because she has learned to distinguish which connections nourish her and which take away her strength. However, this state does not arise overnight. It is a process that requires patience, dedication, and above all, honesty with oneself. Jung argued that our main responsibility is to know ourselves, for only those who understand themselves can live authentically. For many, this path begins in chaos, in toxic relationships, in disappointments, in moments of internal destruction. It is in these difficult phases that we begin to wonder what we really want and need. And even if these experiences cause pain, they often become the impetus for profound change. Perhaps you too have experienced situations in which you gave too much, tried too hard, or tried to save what had long ceased to belong to you. But none of this was in vain. Each of these experiences has brought you to the point where you are today, with the opportunity to act differently. When you start living consciously, your perspective changes. You no longer see loss as a failure, but as an opportunity. Every end is an invitation to a new beginning. Let go of what no longer suits you and be grateful for what you had. You never really lost anything. You simply made room for what truly belongs to you. People who have learned to live from their inner truth do not beg for love, do not seek attention, and are not afraid of loneliness, because they know that loneliness is not a deficiency, but a gift, a space for reconnecting with themselves, maturing, and preparing for what really matters. When you stop acting out of fear and start living out of love for yourself, you realize that everything you need has long been within you. And in this state, you become a woman that no one wants to lose, not because you strive for it, but because your essence is so free, so real, and so strong that everyone who is allowed to be near you knows that it is a priceless gift. This is where true transformation occurs. Not when you try to be chosen, but when you choose yourself. Not when you fit into someone else's life, but when you start creating a life that truly belongs to you. Not when you wait for someone else to make you happy, but when you discover that true happiness arises within you and is reflected in everything you touch. This is the path that Carl Jung pointed us to, the path of self-knowledge, integration, and inner transformation. It is not the easiest path, but the only one that leads to true fulfillment. And it is in this fullness that you become a person who is not forgotten, because what is real, what comes from the depths, what is born of truth, leaves traces, eternal traces in the hearts of those who are fortunate enough to meet you. The time has come for an important question. Are you ready to part with everything superficial in order to discover your true essence? If your answer is yes, prepare to transition to a new level of being, filled with love and harmony that you may not have even dreamed of. By freeing yourself from elements that are alien to you, you gain true freedom from societal pressures, from the need to meet someone else's expectations, from connections that weigh you down. In this state of enlightenment, you realize that there is no need to change for the approval of others. The main task is to reconnect with yourself and fearlessly live in accordance with your truth. As Jung said, true transformation occurs not when we try to fit into someone else's mold, but when we find the courage within ourselves to be radically authentic. A woman who allows herself to be herself, without masks and social roles, radiates an energy that not only attracts, but also leaves an indelible mark. After all, true beauty lies not in perfection, but in authenticity. Perhaps you are currently experiencing a period of change and inner awakening, where many things are being questioned. You may feel the need to break off certain relationships, get rid of outdated behavior patterns or beliefs. Even if this step seems difficult, remember, what is truly yours does not need to be held onto by force. When you live in accordance with your inner truth, the world responds in kind. The right people come into your life, new horizons open up, and everything falls into place in the best possible way. This happens not because you are trying to manipulate fate, but because you are finding harmony with your true essence. This is the secret to becoming a woman that no one would want to lose, not because you strive to be her, but because your authenticity is your greatest strength. If this message has touched a chord in your soul, if while watching the video you felt the need to hear these very words, do not hesitate to share your feelings in the comments. Tell us what touched you the most, what moments made you think about life, and what decisions you are ready to make to live in harmony with your true essence. Perhaps your words will be the beacon that helps another woman find confidence in herself. Together, we can create a supportive community where every woman can find the strength to break free from the shackles, unlock her potential, and shine without fear or doubt. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, do so right now and turn on notifications so you do not miss a single new video. Every interaction you make, a comment, a repost, or a like, helps to convey this important message to those who need it most. Remember that change begins within you. Do not wait for the approval of the outside world to be yourself. Embrace your inner light, trust your path, and become that version of yourself that has long yearned to manifest. Become real. See you in the next video. And remember, the world desperately needs people who have the courage to be themselves. Are you ready to take this step? I look forward to your revelations in the comments.